Yes, hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about 5 moves an agent can do to be successful. You see, of course, we always have this when you're a beginner agent, you struggle a lot to get your players into the industry or to sports directors. You always feel irrelevant, but don't know how to structure yourself or structure deals. But anyways, you're here today and we're going to break that down, or we're going to give you some few tips how those things can happen. Okay. So this is always common with, let's take for example, when you start the industry, you are pumped up that you have like 10, 15 players to sell to people. Then out of a sudden you discover that you haven't even made a deal just for one player. So you're struggling and you are probably maybe frustrated. And this always leads to you thinking that okay, maybe things are hard, that this is not how the agency is. But I think your problem is lack of structure. You're the only agent if you're watching this, so most agents complain this. So in this video, I'll be breaking down these moves as an agent, how you can gain access to sporting directors, by how to approach football clubs professionally, how to build credibility before asking for anything, because that's very important, how to structure professional player proposal, how to think instead of chasing quick commissions. So those are one of the things that we'll be looking at, so that at least I can help you in a short video just to give you some tips how you can apply. Okay, so we see, as I said, most agents complain about this, but I'll tell you something. It's not that sporting director ignore you actually. It's just that they don't see the value in why they should pick your call. That's the first thing. Okay, so you have to already understand that if you send a player profile to somebody and then someone don't reply, those messages they see them actually. They are busy, but most people read their emails. But the reality is they don't value your proposal because you haven't made a mark. You haven't showed value for them. So they feel like there's no point to reply. So yes, how you can improve on all those things. So you have to in those situations you don't need to go spamming them, writing them and just keep pushing players. It doesn't make sense. That's the reality. When you keep spamming sporting director, I don't want to say they'll blacklist you, but when your email comes, no, nothing happens. So a lot of people do this. Let's take, for example, in the industry, there's one thing that really happens is that you may see someone as an agent and think that he's doing deals, but he's not. Yeah, that's the reality of this industry. That you can see someone posting and doing all those kind of high five, maybe acting busy, and you are there sitting, oh my God, this guy, he has a lot of connection and all those things. No, it is till you start going maybe deep to talking to that person and say, hey, I see you have been doing this move one, and then the person tells you that no, I don't have any deal yet. No, so in the industry, you just need to focus on yourself and have a structured approach and have a plan for you people who are those who pass their license. But the most important thing is that when you pass even your license, as I'm saying, it's not even the you go signing players. That's not the most important thing, because you can have 15 players, and sell no one. The most important thing is networking with people. Yeah, that's the most important thing. Networking with sporting directors. For you should be seen with sporting directors, because those are the people who are going to accept your players. Because players you will get, trust me, you can turn up in wherever. Players are always desperate. As I said last time in the video, I said that I was a player, so I was always desperate to have an agent. So players are always desperate as long as there's something happening with that agent. Where players stop being desperate is when they approach you, they do the nice talking, oh, agent, then they approach you. Then at one point in time, they discover that this agent is not going to get me anywhere. He's just speaking, but nothing. So you need to be you need to be careful with how you start. If not, you're just going to wind your time. So those are little tips. And joining again from Canada, thanks for your valuable information. You're welcome. Yes, and great to see you again. So yeah, and just to say on this also, actually, the more I tell you guys also this thing, I try to also, it's also like I'm also refreshing my brain on most of the things. Let's take, for example, the FIFA study materials. Tell you saying these things here, or of course you read and do all those things. But again, for me also it's valuable because I refresh my brain. Like as I said last time, I don't need to, when I'm going to do a deal with it or call it, speak with a sporting director, be thinking in my brain that if he asks me certain things about rules and regulation, or when we're sitting having a conversation, I'll be shy away thinking that, oh my God, he shouldn't go to this department because I'll have no idea. But the more constant I speak this thing, those things stay into my brain. So it's also like a learning, not a learning, it's also like me refreshing my brain a lot. So that's also why I really like speaking here also, because it helps me, keeps my brain fresh. Okay. So let's look at those moves. As I was saying, that if you write a message to a sporting director, he doesn't reply, is because they don't feel you are valuable enough for them to reply. So how do you break that lock? How do you do that? So the first thing I would say is stop selling players, start solving problem. Before you contact any sporting director, because most beginners agents, this is common that of course you spam sporting director. So I think most agents, this is what they always do. And when most people have their license, it's normal that they are still learning their trade. This is the message you always write. Probably when they pass their license now, their friends who were that they have been calling them, telling them, "Hello, I've passed my license. I've passed the agent license. I'm so happy." The friend will go, "Oh my God, I know of this player. Maybe you can start. This can be your first player to open the door, to open your market." Then you go take that player, maybe write sporting director and say, "Hello, I have this talented striker. He can score 20 goals and is a good striker. If you bring him, he's going to be the best striker in the world. Just take him." And you write those kind of messages. Those sporting directors, the first is that they have seen messages like that more than 100 times. So they are not going to reply to your message because they know that it's noise. The way sporting director think, this is how they think. Before they want to bring a player, they think of the budget, they think of the squad gaps, they think of the age profile, they think of the contract cycle. Is it 2 years? They think of resale value. If it's not resale value of the player, then the player should be offering something. So this is, I'm just putting you. You don't think about this as an agent, but this is how sporting director think, because it's their job for them to have a good deal. Because if the deal is not good, someone might replace them as a sporting director. So you see that as you're also looking to fight your own corner as an agent to be successful, they are also willing to be successful in their job, because it might push them to another bigger job, or it might push, if there's already a bigger job, it makes them stay at that level. So let's take, for example, when you say you have a striker, what they assess, what they see is, if you let's take for example, what they see is, if a sporting director takes a striker from you, the sporting director look, can he score? Can he score a lot of goals? That's the job of a striker. Is the budget right? How does it fit into the squad? Is his age profile right? What is the contract the agent is asking? The contract cycle. What is the resale value of this striker? So if you don't, so those are what we call recruitment. So if you don't understand these things, you will always feel that when they don't reply to your messages, you always feel maybe the sporting directors are ignoring you. Whereas you have to put yourself in a situation that you provide value. Okay. So those are the things you have to learn. So the smart move you do here is, if you are trying to talk to any sporting director, first research your club. Don't go sending any player. Just try to research the club. Yes, you take your time, because you're an agent already. Research the club. Look what position is needed. I always say, if you can have time to watch 5 games of a specific club, you're going to know what they need, because you know what position. Because when you watch 5 games, you're going to know who are substitute players, who plays 50 minutes, who plays 60 minutes, or whatsoever, who are the ones substitute. Like for example, I give an example, like Manchester United is a popular club playing. We all know this, the first 11. Of course, injuries can happen, change people. But you know that, let's take for example, There's a squad player like Joshua Zexi. Joshua Zexi, yes, he's he's a squad player. He doesn't play regularly. So if someone is going to analyze the situation, let me say to give a player to Manchester United, you don't want to go and give forwards now because you can already, if you analyze the squad, they're already having forwards. So I'm just trying to make it in the eyes of a big club so that you can see how the picture is also in your own when you start dealing with small club before growing your profile. So you look at where you feel there's demand that they will need, and that player also fits the club. You don't just wake up even if they have a striker which is scoring 10 goals, 20 goals, 30 goals a season, you still want to give them striker, whereas they are needing other position, except that player that you want to give has a very huge potential that he looks like he's going to have a future to be like the best player in the world. So that can be the only different situation. But apart from that, you need to analyze this. And when you start putting your email analyzing like this, your message will start carrying value. So these are the things that you look at. You look at the position that is needed, which contracts are expiring. So there's a lot of a lot of work done behind the scene in this thing. So you analyze, you look at the contract, whose contract is expiring in this club, who is on a 1 year contract that's almost finished. Do they say, and then you look at the club, what is their selling policy? Do they sell young players? Do they buy young players or experienced players? You try to know all these things because these are going to act in your favor. What market do they recruit from? Do they recruit from Africa a lot? What is the do they recruit only from Europe? Is it only or they recruit from the league? So these are the stats that you need to put very available in front of your desk. Start analyzing before you make that move to try to sell a player. So these are the very important things as an agent that when going to the business. This I'm telling you, even some huge agents, the thing in the industry is that they can sell one or two players, then after they don't sell players anymore again. The reason is they don't go into details. They just pick. They don't go into real details. But when you want to become like a lead, I give an example. We have super agent like, okay, there's the late Mino Raola was a super agent. You have George Mendes. George Mendes was a nightclub. He was working. He was a nightclub. He was working in a nightclub. But because he knew how to negotiate network, he turned up to be this kind of super agent. And if you now check his agency, it's now huge. But one of the powerful thing here is that he knew how to position himself. His first deal was Nino Esperanto Santo. Actually, the coach of, is it West Ham now? He was a goalkeeper for Deportivo de la Corona. And that deal, just one deal, that deal opened the door for him to start getting contacts in the market. Okay. The late Mino are the same. He made the transfer for Dennis Beckham to go to Inter. Many people started knowing that, oh, this person is an agent. We can work with him and all those things. So what I'm trying to give you this example is you need, for you to break into, you need your first structure. You need to structure yourself and work behind the scenes. Work hard, and when you work hard, then now your first deal opens the door also for many. I'll give an example to myself. Okay. Was it last summer? Okay, last summer. Okay, summer. Let's say, let me put it because probably some people might be watching in different parts of the world. Okay, let's say was it July last year? I was just from training a player, then training a player, trying to nurture him so that I can bring him to my agency. Then I passed. They were playing a game. I just said, let me stop to watch that game. Then I saw this 10-year-old, I mean, not 10-year-old, this 14-year-old boy, very skillful winger. And within 10 minutes of watching that game, he scored a hat trick. So I immediately say, oh, this is an interesting profile. So now I couldn't approach him there because he was 14, he was underage. So what I did is I asked someone that the name of the teams, and they told me the name of the team. So when I got the number of the team, I just checked and I called the coach of the player that when are they having the next game? I would like to come and watch because there's a player there that I really like to watch. And they gave me the timetable. I drove from my city I live in Finland here. So I drove from here. That's about 1 hour, 15-minute drive. Scouted the player, and there he was also the best player on the pitch by a mile. Scored another hat trick. So now, because I had connection with some club here, with a club called Coops. Coops actually they play now. This year they are playing Europa Conference League. Actually, they have won the league a couple of times this time. This in Finland, yeah. So this year they played the Europa Conference League. So what I did is, because I had connection with that club, I took him for trials into Coops. And when I took him for trials into Coops, because he was that skilled and I trusted his ability because I've scouted him, and then I've also done some field training with him. He passed the trials, but not only trial. I think I went there, I was with him. So he went for the trials. We had arranged the trials with the team, spoken to the academic director, everyone. He passed the trial. I think within first 30 minutes of the training session, the coach was really impressed with him. Then after the training, the coach called me into a secret room, and he said, just after one training, because normally for trials you expect that okay, it will be like something of 2 weeks. He told me, okay, we want this. I want this player immediately, because he described that the player is fast. He's going to help them score a lot of goals for them. He's fast. He's skillful. His 1v1 is very good. A winger. So the coach told me, okay, I want this player. I said, yeah, yeah. If you want the player, then we can go ahead and do something. So we spoke, did all the arrangement, and then the 14 years old kid, moved from his old team to this team, with a professional team. And the aim with him is that when he turns 16, because in Europe, when you're 16, you can sign your first professional contract. So I'm looking after him. I'm his agent. But what I'm just trying to say here is, when you have network and then you have a player, you can take him easily to somewhere. So you have to start building that network already. I mean, you have to start building your network. When you have network, it's easy. So hadn't been let's take for example, I spoke to the parents of this player, this 14 years old, that I want to bring him to my age. I want to manage him. Then I didn't have the network. The next thing now, I'll go chasing after clubs and say, oh, I have this player, he's like this, he's like this. Yeah. So you see that the process will be a little bit more longer. So these are the things that you have to. The first thing is, if you have a club, if you have a player, you have a club that you're networking, that's a very huge step, because the most important thing in this industry is the club network. Then this is what happened. Because that player was that good, I had a meet after 3 weeks. The academic sporting director of the club rang my phone. He rang my phone again and said he wanted to have a meeting with me. So I said, okay. We arranged a meeting. I drove to the city, about 2 hours drive, drove to the city. We had a meeting, and he said, okay, he will want me to have a priority in bringing players to their club, just because after one player. Do you know why? Because because now they see that that player has a potential to become a very good winger, and he's going to generate some income for them. So now they feel like, okay, this agent has a good eye for watching players. So that's why in I always said provide value, because in this business, it's a relationship business. The sporting directors or academic directors, they are looking to make the club profitable. You as an agent also, you're looking to make your agency profitable. So it's like a win-win. Now, what beginners agents don't understand is, they spam sporting directors with, I have this player with 10 years, with striker who is very good and whatsoever. No, that sporting director doesn't see value in accepting your message or your email. He sees it's a one-way traffic. So you have to always try to find, what value can I provide? You see, to the club that it can be beneficial. I didn't ask for that sporting director to call me, but he called me because he felt like, oh, this agent can provide me value. If he keeps bringing this kind of players here, then when they are 16, when they are to sign their first professional contract in Europe, then I'm going to generate a lot of money for this club. So that is why he was looking out for his own interest. That's why he called me and told me that, okay, each time I have a player, I can always bring it to the club. Yes, that I can, from my agency, I can bring to a club. So normally, I'm always in this process. Like the players I train in my business are always, if they need to have certain level, then I can take them to that profession, that club, or to other ones that have network with them. So this is the idea you need to have as an agent to try to generate this kind of idea. This, if you apply this kind of method, you are going to be successful when you have your license. But if you let's say if you have your license, then you think of like, okay, the first thing you want to do is just scout player, and it's going to be challenging for you because you're going to have those players, and those players are going to start ringing you, agent. Why are we not moving? What is happening? Then out of a sudden you'll say that agent, he doesn't know what to do. He has no network. So your first thing is your connection. It matters a lot. Okay. And there was a question. There was something here. Forward to listening your explanation on the past questions. Where can I find some more questions and answers? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where the first thing, the past questions and answers. Okay, I'll try to provide that to try to find you some of that information on that. But when we wrote, I have not really gone. When we wrote, we used to always have more questions on the platform. So have you not found any more questions? Have you not found any more questions on the platform? Let me know. Your player moved to Coops. To Coops, was there an agreement? Yes, it was a 14 year. Yes, there was an agreement. Yes, between me and him. Yes, we have a representative agreement that we signed. Because he's an underage, we signed a representative agreement for 2 years. Me between I and his parents. And then now I had to represent him to take him to Coops. Yeah, that he can now play there. So now he's playing under a professional academic. The aim for us is that him, and his parent is that he gets called up for he's playing now for the Finnish under 14 national team because he has two nationality. He's a Canadian. He has Canadian nationality and Finnish nationality. But we, with the parents, we both agree that since he's living in Finland, they want him to play under the Finnish national under Finland. But his aim is not to stay here because his aim is that we wanted to pass him because it's a process. We wanted to pass him through a professional team. The next stage will be to find him like a club in Norway. And then after Norway, he can move to an England or Spain or whatsoever. So, but everything has to be done step by step. My job is to provide the network, make sure that he doesn't lack uh, the visibility. He doesn't lack that. So each time, let's take for example, when I travel to Norway, I make sure that when I'm meeting sports academic directors, I'm already informing them that when we have connection, that there's this young player that will, with time, he will come through for trials here, or he can come here. So I'm already trying to build that process already. So I'm preparing already. Why his job? Because I speak to his parents regularly. Why his job? The parents have to make sure that he trains well and plays well. So it's almost like a team that you people have to do your job, and everyone is focused on their part. So this is how the agency function. That because with the parents, you also need to have a good relationship with the parents, that you are keeping you are constantly communicating with them, because in the industry the thing is, if you lose communication at one point in time when your representative agreement is done, that player, because you have not been communicating with them or whatsoever might be, the player may try to jump ship or join another agency. So this is something that you need to build trust, keep developing, and not only that, but also have make sure the player feels that you can look after his career. That's the most important. Not even the most important is that the player feels comfortable and feels like, hey, this agent can look after my career, that I'm in safe hands. That is more important. And okay, did you take a CPD course before signing him? Yes, yes. I took the CPD course already long ago. So before you represent my, that's a good question. Before you represent any minor, you have to have a CPD. You have to take you must have taken the CPD course already. If not, you will not be able to represent minor. So those are one of the rules and regulations when you are representing minor, that you must have done that already. So yeah, I took already the course long ago. Once I had my license, the first thing I went was to try to go to the FIFA platform and take the CPD the course, so that at least I can start representing players, both minors and both and overage people and adults. So those were the things that those are the things that you have to put in place so that you can already you can already start moving forward. Because if you don't take the course early, it starts to slow down. You can come across a child or a young athlete, a minor, and then you are thinking like, oh, I have to take the course before I start to represent this player. So you have to just try to do all these things. Okay. Amayok Randy, I'm from Cameroon, but I live in Dortmund, Germany. Okay, welcome, Ayok. That's nice to know you. Nice to know you. Yeah. So, are you writing the exam this April 28, 29? Are you writing? But anyway, it's nice to meet you. So, those are the things that you have to look at. Okay, let's move. Let's try to move forward also, so that we see the next thing you have to do. Yeah. So the next thing you can look at is like building visibility before contact. I spoke already about that already in the previous place. Yeah. So what are the other platforms that can build visibility? I don't know if some of you were on LinkedIn, because of course I think most people think of Instagram and whatsoever. I'm on Instagram as well. But the main thing that I always feel like as an agent, when you want to start building your professional network, you have to try to be on LinkedIn, where there's a lot of professionals there. So those are one of the places that you can start to be on LinkedIn to create your profile. You're an agent. This is probably when you write your exam. Yeah, you're an agent. Then you can start talking to you can start talking to players. This when you have you're having your license, because you can't speak to players when you have no license. So those are the things you have to take note of. Just a moment, guys. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's move on. I was just trying to check some one or two information. Okay, let's see. Just to read one of your stuff right in here. You guys just okay. I live in Dortmund, Germany. General course or the course related to the National Association. Mm, can you reframe your question? Is it a general course or is the course related to the National Association? What do you mean by that? I don't know. Are you talking about if you're talking about the course I'm hosting? No, the course I'm hosting on the 7th, I don't know, but probably correct me if I'm not saying the right thing. The course I'm hosting is a course for people trying to write the FIFA agent exam. Starts April 7. Yes. The people who are registered, they're already huge amount of people. The course will be open soon. Then the people will register already. But many people are on the waiting list. So for those who have registered, it will be nice when it opens, you try to register as quick as possible. But anyways, I don't know if you're talking about that. If not, try to let me know. Okay, CPD course. Mm, general course or course related to nothing. No, the CPD course is a course that before you represent minor, you have to take the course. Or let's say a program, you have to pass it. It gives you the most of the things they teach there is the rules and regulation of representing a minor. That's why you need to take it. And FIFA, when you take that course, then on your license, FIFA is going to put it there that actually you have the right to represent minor. If you don't take the course on your license, it's not going to show that you are representing minor. So because the way when you pass the FIFA license agent exam, the way it comes is after you have passed. Because when you pass, then now you now pay a sum of, when I passed, I paid the sum of my first, was it $600, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, but something $600, yes. Then you're going to get a license. This is a yearly, this is an annual payment. You're going to get a license. That's just for the first year because it changed. But anyways, you're going to get a license. Then after that, you're going to now keep renewing your license each year. But that license who comes doesn't come with the CPD CPD course. You have to take that course. Then when you take that course and pass it, then before there'll come an authorization saying that you are allowed to represent minor. So that's how it goes. Okay, and let me answer. Okay, he said general course related to national. I'm from Manfred, Cameroon. How can I contact you? Well, how you can contact? I have my email. My email. I think my email is there. You just need to go. This is my email address for everyone there. Gaucho. Hold on, guys. Brian. But I think so. You can see that already on Gaucho Brian 9 at gmail.com. Gaucho Brian 9 at gmail.com. Yes, that's my email. It's also for most of, if you go to my YouTube channel, you're going to find it there. And just before I continue, specific no, it's not specific to any countries. Everybody who has to pass do the course before you represent minor. Okay, but let's move forward from what we're speaking. Hold on, guys. Let me try to pick up from where I started so that at least I can move forward. Okay, and then the next thing we'll be looking at is was structure player proposal like a professional. I think, but well, this I don't want to go too much into deep like this because I think those other ones, yes, this is more of a networking thing. You need to have, you need to know how to do this. This is just like when you're sending an email to a sporting director. A proper proposal includes, let's take for example, player profile. Yeah, because people just say, for example, excuse me, what a new agent does is, I mean, most new agents, they just do is they just write, I have a striker or I have a winger who scores 30 goals, and then this is his profile, send highlight video. Those things doesn't work. But a proper proposal includes, let's take for example, the player profile, age, position, and his contract situation of his club. And then you have to also speak just slightly tactically how it fits. If you have been watching, you have to make sure you also let the sporting director know that you have actually been watching them play and he fits. You think he fits into the system. You have to explain, give a little bit of those details. Talk about his market value, his salary those salary expectations. You don't need all those things now. The first thing is that you have to put those stats that it shows that the player is value, that the player can be of help to the team. So, but I won't really, we are going to go deep into that time when you pass, let me say, when you pass your license. The first thing here is let's get these basics because those ones are networking tips that how you can contact sporting director, how you can make them to reply. I think you're not yet at that place. And then when we talk of deals, deals are always like things that most agents also rush. But deals are always things that you do. It's a 3-year cycle. Let me say, if I'm planning for a player, I calculate long ahead. I look, let me say, I give an example like this 14 years kid I was telling you people. If I'm planning for him, I'm thinking like at now he's 14, I let him play and just enjoy his football. When he's 16, I, as an agent, so I plan ahead. I should make sure that he should have multiple options. This is where they look at agents who are serious. I make sure he has multiple options when he's about to sign his first professional contract. Because in Europe, you can sign your first professional contract at 16. So I will be making sure that he is having something. So that's the first thing. So how do I make sure? I have a time now. So when he's 14, so this is what you can do when you have a license. When the player is young, when he's 14, start building the contact with people. For example, this year I'll be going to Norway again, but last year I went to Norway. So when I move, what I will be doing is if I go to a club that I already have a network like Valeranga, those clubs in Oslo, yeah, those clubs in so what you want to do is you want to already be making them aware of the player. Not just but you do what you and secondly, you don't just want one club to be aware. You want a few clubs to know. So that if this club says, hey, we're not interested this time, you have this other club. So you make sure you build those connections. So those are the things that it's going to help you in future because as an agent, your job is to actually provide solution to a player. If you don't provide those solutions, then you cannot be an agent. That's the reality. Because this is what happened in the market. Once you sell a player or once a player signs a professional contract at a club somewhere, other players with other agencies are also looking at other agencies are also looking at okay, he's making his player sign this deal. I would like to move to that agent. So this is how it happens. So for you to be ahead of the market, you always have to be sharp, working hard, looking at clubs, sitting sometimes. Like for example, sometimes I sit in school, I try to go through a lot of clubs profile, see how they are playing, see how they buy players, see the value of money, how much they spend for a player. Can they spend 5 million euros on the player? Is that a maximum amount of money they can spend? If I bring them a young player who is that I feel is very good, can they spend this amount? So you are doing all you're doing all these assignments yourself. So that when you're proposing the player, you already or when you're sitting in front of a sporting director, you know the wage they can offer because you have already done your research. You know the salary. I mean, you know the structure, the bonuses, everything because you have done the research. But if you have not done any research, when you arrive in front of a sporting director to negotiate a deal, what happens is the first time something happens, you just they say, okay, this is a contract. Can you sign this contract? His wage is 2,000 week salary, 2,000 euros, and you say, hey, that's okay. But maybe you might not, because you have not done your research, you don't know that that might be the most minimum wage offer. And then now, probably now, when you go, you and your player, the player is not also happy. So these are things that you as an agent, you have to always figure it out ahead of time. Because once you figure these things out ahead of time, it start helping you to stay ahead of uh, or the people you're working with because you do your research earlier. So these are things that are quite important that you put your mind, you work on. And if you apply all these things I'm saying, you take, let me say, when you start, you have your license, you take 2, 3, 4 years. The next time you are like right up there because you must have placed players in a lot of academies that within 2 to 3 years they'll be signing a lot of professional contracts. And you have a lot of network around that you don't need to do anything and that you just need to be providing those players. So this is how you have to always build your foundation. Okay. And something, which camera do you use for your live streaming? Um, the name is Logi. Logi is a Logi camera. A camera about a Logi. Yeah, Logi camera. So yes, I changed this. Before it was first another camera, but now it's LOGI. So I think if you can type it on your smartphone you're using, then you can try to find it. I think this is how many pixels is it? 1000 pixel. Logi 1000 pixel. I think, yeah. Okay, so just a moment. Let's prepare the past questions. Just a moment, guys. Let's see. I want to find something. I think the most of the questions have been easy for. I don't know. I don't want to say for you guys because you people are not responding, but I think most of the questions have been looking a little bit easy. So I would like something that is also a little bit, let's say, challenging a little bit for you guys, because as I said, most of the questions in the exam, just a moment, most of the questions on the exam, they are quite also very tricky, that you need to face challenges. So it's always good to a little bit put a little bit of challenge on the question, so that at least people can try to work hard to, or see how I answer the question, because you guys don't answer the question. I actually answer the questions, but probably the questions are getting a little bit more easier for me. So I would like to put some challenging questions there. Yeah. And for some, I think someone asked also about the mock questions. I don't know if have you looked through the platform, because when we through the platform, when you register for the exam and you are accepted, the next thing now it comes the mock questions that you can start answering the questions with the answer. There are always a couple of mock questions there. So let me know if anyone can let me know if you have gone through, if you have this on the platform. So I just need a message from one of you guys. If you people are already at that stage, the people who have registered, that do you find any questions on the platform? Let's see. Let's see. I want to see. Okay. Okay. One moment, guys. Let's see. Questions. Okay, let's go. Okay, so yeah, thanks for your compliment. You drop James here always. Which camera do you use? Yes, okay, answer that. Okay, but anyways, let's try to look at some of the past questions. And most of the things I tell you, yeah, it's all you guys is like, I'm trying to give like maybe feedback, not maybe feedback, but feedback from what also I did, I am doing, because I had my license in 2024. So the first thing I did was, I think you're going to, when you have your license, you're also going to have maybe that first thing, like your friends are going to, when you have your license, then you are duplicating, because when I had my license, when I opened, when you open, let's say FIFA will send you an email after some time that, okay, you have passed. this time it's going to come out in June that you have passed the exam or what's the result. So I was so happy then. But now the next thing was, oh, where do we go from here? Now, when you're speaking now with your friends, your close friends, you start getting the situation like, hey, I have this player here who plays in this place. You might like to have him, all those kind of things. If you are not like locked in and focused, you're going to mess up. That's the thing. If you're not locked in and like focused, you're going to mess up. That's the real thing. So the thing is you have to focus and say, okay, what do I want? And how can I structure this? Because if not, if you make a mistake, you're just going to like bring players, take players, convince people because you're excited, which is normal. But the idea here is that I'm trying to give people is that when you have your license, you calm down, have a structured approach. If you have a structured approach within 2 years, 2 years, believe me, within 2 years maximum, you are at a stage that is quite far. That go scouting, build network. And I'll give you one tip here. The most easiest way to build network is okay. Someone may say because I'm in Europe or whatever, but the most easiest way to build network, what I used to do is okay. Let's take for example when I traveled to Norway, I was having an appointment to interview the CEO of Valeranga, CEO of most of those clubs in Oslo. Then some of the clubs who are in like far, like let's say of Bodø and also Viking. They took because in Norway is quite a big country. So when I arrived in Norway, it was like I had to take it. I had to travel by train to. Was it by train? Yeah, to go to Bordeaux to come back. I couldn't do that. And to take a flight even to go to Bordeaux to come back, I'll miss my appointment that I had already at Valeranga. So there's some priority that I made already that okay, some appointment because I was having huge appointment, a lot of them. So some appointment I'm not going to catch up. So catch up with them. So because I had 7 days, is it 5 days in Norway? So I spoke already to some of the people that okay, next time when I'm coming, we'll do this. So I visited the Valeranga Football Club, the CEO, very lovely person, and the sporting director having interviewed them, trying to know how recruitment, how all those things happen. So this was my way of building my network. This was my way of trying to build my network because once you build network, it's almost like you're interviewing people. But the thing also is, if you impress those people, in a way, those people start to work with you. Those people say, okay, we want to have a connection with you. So you keep that network. Then I met Lynn Oslo. Lynn Oslo used to be quite popular in those days because there was a player, Mikel Obi, who played for Chelsea, played there. But now it's like the second tier in Norway. But still, I went there. They were having a big game against Lindstrom. I spoke to them, see what they are doing there. Then I visited a team also, Lindstrom. Lindstrom is in a different city, a city close by to Oslo. Visited them also. Then Kumfor. I think Kumfor they are in Oslo, but they have the best. They train the best young academy in the whole Norway. So when you see most players that come from Norway, they respect Kumfor a lot. The Kumfor. So what I discovered in Norway is that if you have a young player and he plays in that academy, likely he might develop into something very big because they respect the academy there. That's what I found out there. So when I was speaking, so these are clubs that I was trying to build my network with them, speaking to, if not the head of academic director, speaking to the sporting director, if not the CEO, these three people, because these three people are very influential in a football club. Of course, you can network with another person like scout whatsoever, but head of academic director, the academic director is always very, very work hand to hand with. He works hand to hand with the sporting director because when let's say when you're good at the academic, when you're good, if you're playing under 17 or whatsoever level, is the academic director who tells the sporting director or works with the coach at the first team saying that okay, I think this guy is quite ready to come to the first team. So if you have a good connection with him, automatically you have good connection upstairs with the people working in the main team. So spoke with the so then I also visited one team, Starbuck. Starbuck, it's also a different city. But yeah, so I visited, I had a lot of, so that's why I had to cancel some appointment. But how did this come about? This is a good point that I will tell you. How did this come about? So first, my aim was to provide value. My first thing was, when I look at a football club, I look like, how can I speak to the sporting director? How do I provide value to these people? So let's give an example. I'll be looking, let's take for example, if I look at Starbuck, I went to Starbuck and I looked at them and I looked at, okay, their playing style, how they try to play, who is the head of academic director, and how they try to play. So if I am calling the head of academic director, I already make sure I have every details on how they play in their last 5 games, who have been substituted, who have not been substituted, who is playing well, who has not been playing well. So I have all these details. So when I call them, when I called rang the head of academic director, we spoke. I said I would like to interview him. The reason I would like to interview him because also I'm a FIFA license agent. Sent him an email with my license number because when you send with your license number, it's very important because they see that okay, this is a professional. So with my license, my agent license number, send. I would like to interview him. I've been watching a couple of their games and I see that they are playing attacking football. I'd like to know a little bit more into that. So we had this conversation. So this is what I'm taking you a little bit to networking. This is how network. This is how you learn how to network because this is also a skill set. So from there, we went. I mean, from there, booked an appointment. He was impressed by the phone call. Booked an appointment. When we arrived there, when we spoke, after speaking the first, he showed me the strategy of their club, how they want to build. They want to build young players, then they sell to the top clubs in Europe, like some play going to England, going to whatsoever place. Because the Scandinavian market now, especially Norway, is like one of the best. The Norwegian league, because it's one of the best league now in the Scandinavian. Because I've watched the Danish league when I was yes, I've watched the Danish league, the Norwegian league, the Swedish league, and it's no coincidence to me that Bodo Glimt is doing very well. And Bodo Glimt never even won the league in Norway. Because when I watch their league, the way they play with very high intensity and they produce. Now is the time that they are producing very good young players. So, and I'm also even very sure that with time, most of those young players will go out a lot. So, but not to move away from the topic, this was how or this is how I try to generate a lot of networking opportunities for myself. How did I learn this? Because I've also learned how to network. I learned how to network. What? Because in network, you have to provide what we call value. And sometimes I read books a lot because I'm that focused. I read books a lot. There's one book that I always read. This is my table. I always read this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So sometimes you try to read some books. Sometimes you know how human psychology is, because naturally you are working with human beings. You have to know how to work with people. You have to learn how to provide value, because the first thing is in life, if you can provide value, someone is going to stick to you. It's just like you. I give an example. If you're with your friends or if you're with a friend trying to do something, the moment, or if you're in a classroom, we always have this that if you're in a classroom and the person who is not the most smartest, everyone runs away from him. The person who is very intelligent, people lean towards him to ask one or two things. So because they know that he can provide value. So that's just how human psychology is. So when you are starting to network with a club, find a way that the club feels you can provide value or you are valuable. So in my case, when I was speaking to that academic director, what I was doing, because of the way I spoke, he felt that with this guy, he can provide value. I wasn't already speaking to him and say, hey, I have a player I want to sell. That proves desperately. That feels like, hey, I'm trying to ask for something that I've not merited. I didn't ask, there was nothing like I'm asking. It was just like normal chat. Hello, I'm Gaucho Brian, FIFA license agent living in Finland. I mean, I'll be coming to Norway to speak to the sporting director of this club, this club, this club. But why I'm in Norway, I have just gone through past or gone through most of the things that you people have done, and I see it's quite impressive. I would like to have a few minute interview with you if you don't mind on your calendar. Yeah, I see. So check. Then I send with a list of what I've been doing, whatsoever, my contact, all those kind of things, my FIFA license agent number, and tell them a little bit about their club, what I've already researched about their club, then they feel already that this person is interesting. Because I already told, I was in that message I was writing, I was telling them, making them know that I I am interested. I have researched your last 5 games, who came out, what I really found in the play, how the attacking football was. You understand? So I did something that the person feel like, okay, this person is not just speaking. Actually, he has done some research, because people like you to research them. When you research people, then they feel like, okay, this person is focused and serious. He might have something to say. So when you start approaching people that way, it's easy for them to say, okay, no, this person, we need to invite you. So from there, spoke to other sporting directors. So this method, I'm just giving that if you want to approach people, provide value, and always be structural, because the industry, if you learn these things, you're going to go very high. We're running out of time, so I'm going to let's leave this. We can continue this. I know most people like this kind of networking things, but anyways, we always finish with some questions. If you have any question, always drop it there, and I will answer. But let's finish with these questions, because your job is you're writing an exam, and we have to keep track of that. So let's look at some 5 questions about, 10 questions about the FIFA agent exam. As I said, I always repeat it. I always try to give this part, is that before you're going for the exam, I keep saying it here because I want it to stick into your brain. There's no way you should be entering that exam room not knowing that you face 20 multiple choice questions, and it will be 60 minutes. And in those 60 minutes, you should already know that one question maximum takes 3 minutes. If any question that you know is more challenging, you can leave it first, answer the ones you know quick as possible. The method I use is, because I had read the book so much, what I was doing, the moment I entered that exam, I stood, and when I clicked start, I knew I had 60 minutes to become an agent, to work hard to become an agent, because if I don't, I didn't want to waste another time, and that another time, maybe I might not get it. So what I was doing was, when the exam started, I started looking at first question. If it's something that I can answer off head, let's take for example, how long is a representative agreement? A, 4 years. B, 3, 2. I click 2 maximum. All this, I just go down gradually. Anyone that I knew I could take a little bit of time on it, I left it a little bit. I didn't want to answer it, because I knew I was going to come and use the book, because it was open book exam. I knew I was going to come and use the book to check. And because also I learned how to use the book, because I knew every table of content, I learned how to use the book and how to navigate the answers there very fast. So those are also part of the things that you have to rehearse to learn how to use, so that to your advantages. So I was focused the most within 30 something minutes, or I was already finished, answered 15 questions already completely, and then answered the next. So I was just left with actually basically 3 questions for 35 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. 3 questions for 35 minutes. Yeah. So I took time now, looked at the book. Let's take, for example, one was under RSTP, which I already knew on my head according to the table of content. RSTP, because I was writing in 2024, RSTP was from page 150 to 250. So I went straight to RSTP, looked at the table of content, look at representation as quick as possible, find the number, go straight. So it took me like close to 2 minutes to find the answer. Did the same thing to the next, did the same thing. So you must know how to have a structure of this exam to be able to write. You must know how to have a structure. But now also, there's also one thing, is that if you don't know how to if you don't know also, there's a way that, let me say, if they give you a question, if they give you a question, you have to learn how to interpret questions. If you don't learn how to interpret questions, it's going to be tough for you, because interpreting question is one of the most huge part, that if they say something, you should be able to sink it inside and know that, okay, this thing this is how you interpret it. This is what it actually means. Because sometimes the questions, most often, the questions are being given in a trickish manner, that trying to, it's almost like to poke you to see if you can make a mistake. So these are the things that you will be facing challenges, and not you and someone else. Someone can be sitting. Let me say you have different questions from someone, but now you're writing alone. When we wrote inside with we because we used to go to the association, and you get someone from the FA, because I wrote in Finland, so you get someone from the FA. You come, you both have your computer, your everything sat there, and the moment they say start, they open the exam, it starts. So everyone had different questions. Same like your questions, even when you're writing later on, your question will be different from another person's question. Someone, you understand? So the way the question comes is FIFA is like multiple questions just from the book, that they are coming out from the book, that the machine just throws it into different individual. Some people own might be different from some everyone's own is different. I remember when I finished writing, there was this friend of mine that he knew most of his questions. So we were just going through that kind of thing, like boys or men. He'll be telling me his question. This question came. This question came. And when I looked at his questions were quite very easy for me, because I was like, oh my God, you had just direct questions. Whereas my questions, when they came, they were quite really lengthy, because I remember I'm not going to, one of the questions was a young player who plays ball from an academy player who traveled to Brazil for studies and then had to be engaged in football. And they were asking me, does he has the right to play professional football? And which the answer was no, because if someone travels based on studies, you don't have the only chance you can play football is you can play for an amateur club. You cannot play professional. Yeah. But now, in this situation, they didn't ask it that way. They had to turn it that this academic player went to Brazil, went and lived with his parents. I mean, went and stayed with someone. They try to manipulate it, go to places that it's not actual, that those things are not relevant, but this is just to confuse your brain. So these are things that I say you have to learn how to interpret the question to be able to know how to handle the situation or handle the question. Okay, but let's look at the first question. Okay, within how many days must a football agent upload a representation agreement after execution, amendment, or termination? Okay, so A, 7 days, B, 10 days, C, 14 days, and D, 30 days. So I think this also is on the, so for me, if I was writing, I'll be interpret, what I'll look into this question is within how many days must a football agent upload a representative agreement? So I'll be looking at representative agreement, how it's aligning, uh, and I'll be looking at amendment. So when I'm going now to the, because those are keywords here. When I'm going to the, to find this, if I didn't know this answer, because the answer is 14 days actually, but if I didn't know this answer, if I'm trying to research this question, I'll be looking at those keywords, then going under FFAR, because they said you can hear its representation agreement, so you know already it's under FFAR, that's football agent regulation. So you try to find it there. So these are a little bit of tips that you try to use. Then the next thing we say within the next question is, so the question A1 is 14 days. Question 2, within how many days must a football agent upload information after payment of a service fee? Okay. So the answer is A, immediately, B, 7 days, C, 14 days, D, 30 days. Okay. That is 14 days still. So I'm just trying to make people have an idea of this. Okay, and then the next question is, if a football agent conducts business through an agency, so yeah, that's saying if a football agent conduct business through that's an agency, is an agency, yes, within how many days of the first transaction must they upload an agency ownership structure? A, 7 days, B, 14 days, C, 21 days, D, 30 days. So the answer is still 14 days. So these are a few things that you need to look under representation agreement. But we are going to be touching on this. I'm going to be explaining a lot of details into all these things so that you have an idea a lot of how to find these things, how to be able to interpret the question. Because I think most of the thing here that I will look is the way you interpret the question is going to help you a lot, because the questions are not just going to come that right straightforward. So a question might be lengthy, but we're going to look at how you can you interpret a question, because that will be a big key. If you can look at the question, interpret it as quick as possible, then it's going to help you. Okay. And the next question is, a football agent may not A, negotiate salary for a client, B, induce a player to terminate an employment contract without just cause, C, provide other services, D, represent a player in negotiation. So this question is, what can a football agent not do? So if in this question, if we are using the principle of elimination method, let's take for example, if you are using to eliminate, so let's take for example, a football agent may not A, negotiate salary for a client. That's a job of a football agent. So that is already wrong. A football agent is there to negotiate salary for a client. Then we look B, induce a player to terminate an employment contract without just cause. Yes, you cannot do that. You cannot force or induce someone to terminate a contract without just cause, which means there's going to be huge compensation whatsoever. So that's the answer. Then let's go C, provide other services. A football agent is allowed to provide other services. So that one also is wrong. D, represent a player in a negotiation. That's actually a job of a football agent to represent player in a negotiation. So you see, using the principle of elimination method, you are left only with B, with the right answer. So then the next question, a football agent is prohibited from accepting A, service fees agreed in representation agreement. So a football agent is prohibited from accepting A, service fee agreed in representation agreement. That is already wrong, because that is how you get your payment. As a football agent, you have to accept service fee. For service fee is when you are representing your client, he pays you service fee. He pays you the service fee. So you are accepted. So you need to accept it. So A is wrong. And then we go B, training compensation payable in connection with a transfer. Okay. So that is already B. It's already the right answer, because a football agent is prohibited from accepting training compensation payable in connection with the transfer. That doesn't work. So that's okay. Let's move ahead. C, payment from a client. No, you are a football agent. You accept payment for your client from your client. Reimbursement of agreed expenses. A football agent also, you can reimburse agreed expenses. So the answer here is B. Using again the principle of elimination method, that we eliminate and we were left with the right answer. And then next question is, a football agent must immediately inform a client of any verbal interest from a club. Okay, let's go ahead. A football agent must immediately inform a client of A, any verbal interest from a club, B, any written offer received in relationship to the client. Yes, good. C, only accepted offers. D, only international offers. So now this question, actually, these are one of the questions that are quite, because they give you four options that you should pick. You should choose how many answers are right and how many are wrong. So most of the time, many people will fail this question, because if you don't focus here, you might miss the trick here. So the question was, a football agent must immediately inform a client of any verbal interest from a club. No, a verbal interest is just like a spoken. So he's not really. Of course, he can inform, but it's not like a must. You must inform this player. I mean, you must not inform your client. Of course, people do inform their client, but it's not a must. So you have to interpret the question very well. That's why I say interpret your question, because here they say you must inform immediately your client of A, any verbal interest, which means no, that is wrong. B, any written offer received in relationship to the client, that you must inform your client because it's already now official. Okay. And C, only accepted offers, wrong. D, only international offers, wrong. So the answer here is B. So, but most people writing the exam might fail this one because they'll go with A, any verbal interest from a club. So, and you fail just because they put must there. So that's why I say it's quite tricky also. So question 8. If a football agent fails to pay annual license fee within the deadline, what happens? Okay, this is for also you people writing the exam. So, like I'm an agent, I pay annual license fee to FIFA. That's each year. Like mine is coming, the next one is this September. So September, actually September 30th, we pay or I pay license fee to renew my license. So here the question is, so when you become an agent, you also start paying those things, the license fee. So the question here is, if a football agent fails to pay the annual license fee within the deadline, what happens? A, immediate permanent revocation, that his license will be revoked. No, that's wrong. So I've eliminated that one. Then B, fines only. No, that is also wrong. C, automatic provisional suspension. Yes, that is right. And D, warning letter only. So it will be automatic. Your license will be like suspended, waiting that you pay. You pay. Yeah, you'll be warned. Yeah, and if you keep doing that, then your license will be revoked. So it's automatic provisional suspension. And question 9: if non-compliance in brackets such a failure to pay license fee, CPD, or reporting is not rectified within 60 days after provisional suspension, the license shall. Okay, this question is like a follow-up question to the previous one. So if you didn't comply to pay your license fee after 16 within 60 days after provisional suspension, the license shall A, remain suspended indefinitely, B, be withdrawn, C, be fined, D, be renewed automatically. So your license will be, the answer is B, your license will be withdrawn for sure. And yes, so that's it. And last question: which body has jurisdiction over disputes arising from a representation agreement with an international dimension? So A, National Member Association; B, FIFA Disciplinary Committee; C, Agent Chambers of Football Tribunal; and D, Court of Arbitration for Sport automatically. This is quite okay and easy, yeah. So, but most of these kind of questions, you are going to find them also there. So, well, the last question, the answer is C. I go again, just to repeat one more last time. Which body has jurisdiction over dispute arising from a representation agreement with an international dimension? So the A was National Member Association only, no. B was FIFA Disciplinary Committee, no. C was Agent Chambers of the Football Tribunal. Yes, it's the Agent Chamber of the Football Tribunal, which is the right answer. And D, Court of Arbitration for Sport. Okay, we are going to end here today. No, so I don't want to continue more ahead. So let's end here, then we can continue tomorrow. So what I try to do is I try to give, then I answer some, we try to run through some questions and just answer them. So I think we have done enough. This is 1 hour, 15 minutes. So tomorrow, 9:30, if you have any question, bring it, or we can speak about that. Then we'll always discuss one topic, then we'll go into finishing with the questions and answers. Then I'm explaining the questions and answer a little bit so that at least you can have an idea of what is happening, or you can have an idea of the question. Because what I try to do is I try to talk and also explain the question so that you can pick it. If I do this regularly, then sometimes most of the questions that I see or I read, you're going to have few of them in the exam for sure. So you can remember my voice on that. You're going to have few of the questions on the exam. Because let's take, for example, if we do 10-5 questions, let's say, okay, if we do maximum 10 regularly, before you arrive the exam, most of the questions you will be familiar, you have an idea of it. So that's just the thing. But anyways, let me leave you people. It's already late here. It's 11 o'clock, 2 minutes to 11 finish time, which is Eastern European time. Speak to you tomorrow, and thanks for everyone coming through and watching from Lyon. Yes, you're welcome. Thanks for everyone coming through, and it was nice also sharing this moment with people. And we see you tomorrow 9:30, same 9:30 Eastern European time. I'll be here with you people. So if you want to come and have something, you can always ask. You're welcome. Okay, take care, guys, and let's speak tomorrow. Bye for now. Cheers.